Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are again. A succession of 3 defeats now, and it started making my job hang from a thread as well. We've spoken about this before. Abysmal today. I felt like the players weren't playing at all. Really poor. Second half was obviously a lot better. Van der Beek, I thought he was excellent when he came on. Just shame we didn't see him a little bit earlier. Shame that everyone else didn't step up. Lots to go through today. You know, we've had 2 weeks off now. And I think Stu put it in the group chat perfectly. I and he have supported Ollie all the way through, but I just can't see a way back. Anyway, get your comments in, get liking, subscribing, and we'll see you on the other side.
Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All For United.
Here we are again. It's just getting worse and worse. Just a little cursory reminder, if you're not talking, just please mute yourself. There was a lot of feedback there, but it's all good. We've got one more coming in, Marcus. Connor. I know you've been pretty disappointed with the women's team, haven't you, recently? And it's all going terribly wrong. I'll come to you first in a moment. I'm just going to read a few comments out. Jacob, good to see you back, buddy. Terrible starting lineup from Ollie. McTominay and Matic is never going to work. We've seen that on numerous occasions. We looked 5 times better when Van der Beek come on. Yeah, I think it's, we've been saying this for months. I know Connor won't agree with us. But he is a very intelligent player, and if he's played in the correct place, which he was when he brought on, he looked really exceptional today, and I want to see more of him. Second season now, and need to have seen more of him really. Sancho also second best player. It was good to see them get at least 89 minutes today. Say no to Ollie, and good to see you on Facebook. Come over to YouTube, get some more comments in here, get liking, get subscribing. Anthony Wilson, I know we don't like negativity, but he's got to go. He clearly doesn't have the players backing, unfortunately. Yes, the results against Liverpool and City I can take a little bit. I'm not sure if I can, buddy. But Watford 4-1. Connor, talk to me, mate.
I don't envy you hosting this. I've got next to no words, I've got to be honest. I've just tweeted it. This is the worst I've felt as a United fan that I can remember. I mean, it was bad under Moyes, it was bad under Mourinho, but this is just horrible. And it's not even just the loss. It's the end. I don't know if anyone carried on watching afterwards. Ollie going over to the fans and being just abused in front of our eyes. There's a Man United legend, a guy who loves the... And don't get me wrong, he needs to go, right? I'm not going to sit here and say he needs to stay or anything like that. But seeing a legend, a United fan, just get abused and booed right in front of his face. And then Fernandes is behind, saying, boo the whole team kind of thing. And he did try and gesture to say it's everyone, not just Ollie. But to see that at the end, I'm genuinely hurting. I've got no word. If you're asking me to analyse the game, I don't even know where to start because I don't know. I can't remember it. I've got to be honest. It's almost like I was watching it and it never crossed my mind today that we'd lose because I thought the quality in the players will come through. I thought, Chelsea coming up will probably lose that maybe, with what's going on, but I didn't think we'd lose today. Losing to Watford is embarrassing enough. Losing to Watford with 10 men is embarrassing, getting a red card. Losing to Watford 4-1 is just an absolute joke. And it's like I said, Ollie will need to go. I want him to walk because I'm sick of the abuse he's getting. And, this is the board's fault for keeping him in over internationals. I tweeted before today's game, I can't believe we got to Watford and he's still in charge. It's an absolute joke. So I feel for him. He's given it his all. We need to part ways now and move on because how can it get worse? Watford are 4 points behind us. They could be catching us up in 2 weeks' time. We've got Chelsea. We could be out of the Champions League if we lose to Villarreal on Wednesday. We're in Tuesday, sorry. We're in serious trouble. Serious trouble. And I don't even know where we go from. I will be I said this before today's game, but if he's still in charge by Tuesday, I will be amazed. Because the problem we've got now, though, is because we've gone past an international break, if you sack him now, what's the fucking point? Because you sack him now, what, is Carrick going to take over on Tuesday? And then going into Chelsea? we've made this up mess our fucking selves because, let's say, we sack him now. Who's coming in? That's the problem I have. We should have done this in the bloody international break rather than wait until now. Just pissed off.
Yeah, it's very difficult to analyse this, and as I said, we've had this same shit show for weeks on end now, and we're going to start to sound like a broken record. But yeah, well said there, Connor. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got. I mean, there's been a lot of talk in the last few weeks, hasn't there? They haven't found the right man. They don't know who the right man is, and you know what? I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe they've done any work behind the scenes. Maybe they have, but you know, very, very little. And they've had 2 weeks of international breaks to get this sorted. And ultimately, I love Ollie. And I think he's done some great stuff. He's just not quite there, is he? He's not the man to take us forward, and ultimately he's been thrown under the bus even more. And I think it's disgusting. And regardless of what anyone thinks, I've been in lots of chats today where people are saying, "Oh, it can't be the Glazers' fault," and whatever it is, it is. 100% is, and I don't care what anyone else has to say. Jeff, good to have you on, buddy. Always a soldier in my eyes. And fortunately, we're talking about a shit show again. But how are you, mate? And what were your thoughts today?
Past 1 a.m. here, so as Connor said, you know, I don't have any words left to describe what happened today. From the get-go, you can see it's like they didn't want to play anymore. Like they were all nervous and stuff like this. We only had a semblance of intent when Donny came on. Even Sancho was terrible in the first half. He was just playing great when Donny unlocked him. So I don't know. Was Donny proving a point? Was Donny getting Oli out faster? I don't know. But you know, although I do see that Oli needs to go right now. But the players, man, I mean, sheesh. You're wearing a United shirt. If you wanted to throw your manager under the bus, you could have told him right in his face during your crisis talks, right? So yeah, but I also agree that Oli should have walked. His stubbornness is his own undoing. If he had real pride about the club, he should have walked after the Liverpool game, because he has this wrong kind of pride. He's proud for himself, but not for the club. That's what I'm seeing. So it's pretty disappointing that we have to go through this, as Connor said, just like 2-3 days before a Champions League game, and you know, they won't listen to Carrick or to Phelan or whatnot. So we're in a limbo basically. So disappointing.
Yeah, we're very much stuck between a rock and a hard place at the minute. Callum, I know you've only got a few minutes, mate. Thanks for coming on and making a lovely appearance with your beautiful face. I'm loving the Pokemon poster behind you. And give me your words, please, bro.
I don't know if you can hear me very well, Mark. Just test that first.
Can you hear me? Yeah, absolutely fine.
Yeah, shocking. I don't know if you saw that at the end, but Solskjaer went over to the away fans and kind of said sorry, and it looked like he waved goodbye. But in the background, you had Bruno saying it's not Ollie, it's us. And he couldn't be more right. Those players, every single one of them is down tools for the manager. And they can't be that bad by accident. It's completely on purpose. They do not want him there anymore, and they cannot be bothered to perform for him. That was an absolute disgrace. Like, that was worse than City and Liverpool. 4-1 against a shit Watford team. That was utterly disgraceful. A lot of them don't deserve to wear a United shirt ever again. They're awful. Like, genuinely, that was a joke. And ultimately, it's the manager that gets the can. It's the manager that gets the blame. A lot of it is on Ollie, you know, his team selection, his tactics, the way they've set up. That is on him. But you cannot tell me those players are that bad that they that's how they perform. It's shocking. It's utterly dreadful. So I can't understand how it can keep happening. And this idea that, who do we bring in now? Because no manager's available. Every manager is available. But Man United seem to be the only team or the only club that can't bring in a manager if they're in another job. Is that because the Glazers refuse to pay any compensation fees or transfer fees for managers? Go out and get the best manager you can. If you want to bring in Pochettino, go pay his contract out at PSG. If you want to bring Ten Hag in, go pay his contract out at Ajax. Why do we constantly constantly have to go, oh, well, there's no managers available. Every manager's available for the right price. And United seem to just forget who our owners are. This all stems from who our owners are through the lack of setup and the lack of strategy that we have. Solskjaer is a club legend, but these players have down tools for him, and they will completely get off with it scot-free. And ultimately, these last few years have been completely wiped off now because Solskjaer has been kept in the job longer than he should have been. That was a disgrace today, and those players clearly didn't play for the manager. You don't play for the manager, you play for Man United. And if that's how you perform, you don't deserve to wear the United shirt. They can all fuck off, as far as I'm concerned. Every single fucking one of them. They are an absolute disgrace to the badge, disgrace to every single player before them, disgrace to every manager before them who's been at Man United, and the lot of them can fucking do one because I'm sick to death of them now. If that's how a captain performs, Harry Maguire should be absolutely ashamed of his performance for Man United recently. He doesn't deserve to start, which is on Ollie. Why he's still starting, I have no idea. But to say that he's the captain and that's how he performs, he should be fucking stripped and dropped from that team straight away. He should be absolutely ashamed of it. You know, it's a joke how bad they are. These players have become so bad over the past, pretty much overnight. They didn't play like this last year. So what the hell's changed? It's a disgrace. Something needs to change because I can't carry on like this. I'm not bothered about losing games. It's the way we lose. Shame on every single one of them. Absolutely shameful. They should honestly, they should be utterly ashamed of themselves. And I cannot wait now for we're so sorry, we'll bounce back next weekend. The fucking lot of them can piss off. Right, Mark, I'm going. I'll see you later.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, cheers, buddy. Big words. But he speaks for all of us. He's absolutely right. You know, listen, as Brendan, I think, mentioned in the comments earlier, and he hit it spot on. It's not just the manager. It's too simple to always blame the manager. Football success involves so many different factors. Listen, we know Ollie isn't astute enough. We know that. We've seen that on too many occasions where he doesn't set up correctly, makes weak substitutions, incorrect substitutions, late substitutions, and doesn't really have a plan B. Okay, we know that. But unfortunately, as Callum hit the nail on the head there, the players were terrible today and they were not playing. It doesn't matter about the manager, it matters about the club, and they did not perform today, and he's absolutely spot on. Callum, he's a good lad, and it's not often really he gets that emotional, and I could just see that in him, and it's unfortunate to see. Grant, great to have you on, buddy. Thanks for coming on. I'm so sorry, and you know what? I don't think I've apologised so much than I have in the last couple of months with all these losses. But great to have you on. And as I said, I can only apologise. It's in shit circumstances. But talk to me, mate. How do you feel?
Well, thanks, Mark, first of all, for allowing me onto this great channel. It's always great to chat to fellow Manchester United fans. Connor was very passionate earlier on, and Jeff was as well. I can only reiterate what the guys were saying there. It was embarrassing. It was absolutely pathetic. You know, from United. The first 45 minutes today was an utter disgrace. You know, no one wanted it enough. Watford wanted it more. And, you know, we're lucky it was 2-0 at half-time. It should have been even worse. You know, David De Gea saves 2 penalties. You know, people forget that. Scott McTominay with an absolutely bizarre decision to give away a penalty earlier on. We get the benefit of the doubt with the VAR decision. Save the penalty. You would think that would be a bit of a motivator. You get a little bit of a break, but it didn't work like that. And it just goes down to simply not wanting it enough. Too many United players have been abject right from the start of the season. But also there is a weak management from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it has been for a long time. I've been one of these Manchester United fans that feels that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have gone after losing the Europa League final against Villarreal last season. That, for me, was a big checkpoint in this journey. You know, you're in a European final against a Spanish side who aren't the greatest side, but they're a very competent team. If you want to be challenging for silverware, you've got to be winning that final against Villarreal, regardless if it was via a penalty shootout or in the 90 minutes. They failed to do that. That, for me, was a big telling point in the season. But, Mark and guys listening in, too many abject performances from key players. We talked a lot about Maguire. Roy Keane sold him out big time in the last couple of weeks, and he's been bang on the money. Absolutely bang on the money with every single comment he said. He spoke for every Manchester United fan. And you know what really annoys me about all this, right on top of everything else? If you tune in to Super Sunday tomorrow, Gary Neville will defend his mate. And I think that is embarrassing. I like Neville as a pundit, but his, restrictiveness to come out and just say it to people, Solskjaer hasn't got it. Sorry, Gary. You need to see that United are absolutely nowhere. This is a Watford team who got promoted from the Championship last season, who sacked their manager at the start of the season. They've brought in Claudio Ranieri. Now, credit to them, Ranieri is a good manager. He won the Premier League with Leicester. But, you're coming into a very, very volatile and difficult job at Watford. But, they won at Everton. There was a bit of a warning sign there that this Watford team were not going to roll over for Man United today. They wanted it more. Josh King bullied our defence today. The goals at the end were embarrassing. Yes, we had the goal ruled out for offside. It could have been 2-2, could have been a different game. But it papered over the cracks. You know what it reminds me of, guys? I'm good with analogies on this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reminds me of a doctor who was trying to save a patient on the resuscitation table, but it's been 45 minutes since the patient has been responsive. Now, any normal person would call time of death. But this guy believes that he can still manage to save the patient. It's finished. It's absolutely finished. And the guys were saying earlier on, who do we go for next? Who would want to manage Manchester United right now? We are one of the biggest clubs in the world. Of course we are. But we're an utter mess. I've seen people like Brendan Rodgers being linked. Leicester are worse in the league than us, and that shows you how bad Leicester have been this season. People are wanting Pochettino to come into the job. Paris Saint-Germain may be dominating the French league, but they're struggling in Europe. It really is so difficult and very... You don't know where to go next with United. We are in really, really big trouble.
Big trouble, big words, and a great analogy there, mate. Thank you very much for that, and I know exactly what you're going on about. No, really well said, and a lot of people in the comments actually agreeing with you. Lots of talk as well about the next manager. I think everybody's obviously on the same page, singing from the same hymn sheet, and know that the time is nearly there. Marcus, we're here again, aren't we? And I'm sorry to you too, but this has been coming for a long time. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I agree with what everybody is saying to an extent, and I actually surprisingly agree with Callum as well. I think his frustration is justified, but I'll always go back to two things. One, this is why Ollie outers were upset last season when we did finish second in the league, because we knew and had the foresight to see that this isn't sustainable. Yes, individual performances matter, but when individuals go missing, that's when your team performances kind of carry you. That's when your tactics carry you. That's when good habits carry you. As a professional athlete, there's going to be days where you're not on it. And when you're not on it, when your talent isn't there, you rely on the skill sets that you've picked up and the habits, because those are things you do without thinking. And at Manchester United, it looks like we don't even do the basics right. Everybody talks about how we can't string a 5-yard pass together. That's alarming. And yes, you could say that's on the players, but are they being drilled to do these things to the point where it's not even like it's second nature? I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. And this is not to say it's all on Ollie. Yes, there is blame to be shared everywhere. I mean, Maguire obviously was awful today, but who keeps picking him? Who keeps picking him? Who made him captain? Luke Shaw, we talk about him every week. Who keeps picking him? Fred and McTominay, we've spoken at length about why they're not good enough, whether they're together, whether they're playing with someone else. Who keeps picking him? You cannot go into a game after losing to your biggest rival, and they basically turned Old Trafford into a training session, and only make 2 changes. And that's the same team that lost 5-0 to Liverpool as well. So it boggles the mind. And I know there was a very morbid analogy used earlier by Grant, but it's a perfect analogy. It really is, because I just don't see where the progress is. I even said, like, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't get sacked in the international break, that I've kind of written the season off. But for me, it's about seeing if Ole can actually prove me wrong, if he can actually start to change his team selection, if he can actually start to solve issue by issue, even if it's one issue. I mean, credit to Ole, at least he made it subs early today. At least he did that right. But yeah, I don't know. And I don't know where we go as a club, because I don't think the Glazers are actually going to sack him. I think, Joe Glazer must be a Liverpool fan. Like, he must be sabotaging us. Like, I've got no other explanation as to why you wouldn't let go of Ollie at this point. It doesn't make sense to me.
I think he's just a man that delegates and doesn't give a shit about how he gets the money. and allows the people
Yeah.
below puppet strings to do his job for him. And I've read so many things over the last few weeks that he doesn't know this. I saw an interview the other week. He said that Ronaldo came in at 16. Yeah, little things like
Yeah.
that. These are things that you should know as a club owner. All these little nuances, and it's really, really poor. So yeah, I mean, Glazers are Glazers. We aren't going to get rid of them anytime soon, but they need to act now. Just want to quickly say, like, subscribe, all the usual shit. Get your comments in as well. It's good to see a lot of people talking in the comments. Really good to see. Lots of debate about Van der Beek as well, and I'm going to come to you about that, Connor. We've spoken about Van der Beek. I know you're not his biggest fan, and that's fine. I really like him. I think he's an intelligent player. Lots of fans, including myself, have called for him to play week in, week out, and I was so proud of him today that he came on and played as well as he did, getting that goal. I thought he was excellent. But what were your thoughts on him today when he came on?
Yeah, when you say I'm not a fan, it's not necessarily him. What I'm not a fan of is people crying when they don't see him on the team sheet, because ultimately,
I know that.
Yeah, I don't give a shit who starts for United as long as we win. But the problem is, and this is what I kept saying last season, you don't fluke second. You can have what Mark's saying is kind of right. You can have one-off games, but you can't fluke a season. You can fluke one-off games, but a whole course of a season, you can't fluke that. And what my issue was, we were winning games, and everyone was, "Oh, Donny's not playing." Back then, I didn't give a shit. Like, we were winning games. I support United. I don't support Donny. Whereas now, we're not winning games, and he still wasn't getting played. And this is where my issue is, because when you're not winning, you try and change it and you try and mix it around. And this is where my frustration is now with Ollie, that Donny showed today what he can do. And I've been you know me, Mark, on this channel, I've been criticising Donny because I didn't feel like he took his chances when he's had them, albeit very limited. But at the same time, look at today. He's shown the kind of qualities he can, and he was the only player that actually put up a bit of his goal. Yes, he scored, but I mean, anyone on our team is going to score from there. But it was his play that was impressive. His passing was brilliant. His determination actually to win the ball back was more impressive to me, because it showed that he can play in the midfield too and actually look quite strong in there. I know it's against a poor Watford. Well, I say poor. They beat us 4-1 for fuck's sake. But I know it's against a lower echelon Watford side. But I think it must have been about a minute or so after half time, and he was battling to win the ball back. He slide tackled in, took it around two players and played the ball into Sancho, and we took the ball forward.
There was that point actually, when he took Sarr out and went off injured. There was that point. I think the only time other than the goal where I was cheering, I was so pleased. You want a bit of grit and determination. And Grant, I think, or someone alluded to it earlier with Keane in his comments. I think it was you, Grant. He's been talking about a player to really get stuck in, to win those tackles, and he did that today. His tenacity was excellent. Sorry, Connor, carry on, bro.
Yeah, no, I don't really have too much, but that's what I mean. Like, yes, he scored, which was good for him, and it was good for him to have that moment, but it was his overall play. And it was almost like, we know he's a professional, I know there's probably the respect there amongst the training ground, but, when you're not playing well, when you're not winning games, this result in isolation isn't too bad, but this is 5 or 6 in a row now. You can even go back to the start of the season at Southampton when we drew, how poor we've been playing this year. So you can go back as far as then, and Donny's repeatedly this season, I'm not talking about last season, because I said we were winning games and got to a cup final and so on. This season, when you're not playing well, you rotate and you bring other players in to try and fix what's going wrong. And this is what I tweeted earlier. Ollie's downfall will be his over-reliance on the players that have consistently let him down this year. Donny's not let him down because he's not been given a chance. And he's got a chance, and it's too late. Ollie will be gone. So hopefully whoever comes in next will give some of these fringe players a chance. Because it's not just Donny. It's players like Tellez and Martial. And, people might have written these players off already, but they haven't had a chance really this year. You've got to use your fringe players. Look at Chelsea. They rotate in their fullbacks pretty much every week. Rotating their centre-halves and midfield, still look a good team because you've got that competition for places. So, yeah, I thought he played really well today. Took his goal well. I think most people on our team would have scored that, but it was his passing and his determination to win the ball back that was more impressive for me.
Yeah, a great all-round display. Well summed up. Andrew was at the game today. He was going to come on here tonight, but I don't know if he can get signal. But anyway, it's good to have you here, bro. An absolute embarrassment watching from the stands. United showed no heart or desire. It's obviously clear, as well as watching on the TV, as well as being there and seeing it. Just looked clueless. Van der Beek was probably our best player when he came on. Absolutely right. I'm pleased you brought up Martial, Connor, because I thought he was good when he came on today. Not the best, but he was good. And I'm going to talk to Marcus about that shortly. But Jeff, Bruno was poor today. And I know we've had a few sort of discrepancies over the last few weeks. I won't name any names. But he would have loved that today. But he was poor. And he made the mistake to the sending off. And it's difficult to drop someone like Bruno because he's been so sensational for us for such a long time. But these are the sorts of decisions that Ollie needs to really grab by the scruff of the neck and make. Now, I'm not saying drop Bruno in the next game, but someone else mentioned it earlier. Maguire, he is our club captain. You're not going to strip him of captaincy, but you can drop him. And he's not making those decisions. But yeah, your thoughts on Bruno, Maguire's red card, and yeah, how we turn this around. I mean, we've been saying this for weeks.
With all of the stuff that happened earlier, like with that was a stupid attempt by Bruno with the throw in. I mean, it must have been intentional, I guess. I mean, do you really do that normally? No, you don't. But in fairness to him, he kind of worked his ass off after that. But then again, he needs a break. I think I said this about Marcus Rashford last season. When he was out of form, Ollie didn't drop him. Like that was my beef with Marcus Rashford. I wasn't hating on him. He's a good player, but if you're not on the form, then you gotta give him a break and give chances to others. And that's really what's missing with like Sancho and Donny did well, but with Sancho you can see the rustiness early on in the game when I think it was Matic who tried to play him on. But if you don't rotate these players, then once they do start or they do play, they just don't have it when they're on the field. In fairness to Martial, he was the one who passed to Sancho before that goal to Donny, right? So it was good on him. Another thing about Donny was the first half we didn't go into those open spaces that we were creating actually, but Donny made those runs and made that goal possible. I mean, you say anyone could have scored that goal, but during the first half, no one was getting into these dangerous spots, and Donny showed that there are dangerous spots during the game. You just have to go to it, and the first half didn't show us that they wanted to go and get those spots, right? With Maguire, I don't know. That's at the get-go he was nervous. He's press resistant, but a lot of times he easily got rattled, especially in the first half when someone was pressing him. And I think he got overconfident in the second half, and with cleverly pressing on with a touch too heavy, and that's the story. But yeah, what pissed me off even further was Ollie even gave him a high five. I mean, he should be mad that he got a red card, right? But why? Why did you give him a high five? So I really don't know how to turn this around with the players. It's easy to get the manager and just get someone to be a caretaker or whatnot. But with the players, how do you get them going again? Because obviously they're not 100% into it. There's no heart. The intention is to play, but to win, I'm not so sure. That's why it's such a disappointing year again to be a United fan. So.
Yeah, definitely. And what interests me is, and Grant, I come to you on this. A couple of seasons ago, last season, we would thrive on teams coming at us. And Watford today did exactly that. But it seems that at the moment we're capitulating under that high press and we don't know how to get out. We don't know how to defend. We don't know how to counter. And that was a huge strength. So how has that changed so quickly? I mean, look, we've added 4 players, got rid of a couple more. Dan James actually fitted that system very well, which is a real shame. But we've still got players in abundance that can have pace and get forward.
I mean, I'm having a look at the stats from the game. Watford had 20 shots on goal to our 9. That should never be happening. Let's be honest. in a game of this magnitude. Just looking at this game in a nutshell, I think Shaftman makes a good point. There is a Euros hangover, not just with Maguire, but with Luke Shaw as well. I mean, I think Luke Shaw's had a dreadful season so far for Man United at fullback. I don't think Wan-Bissaka's played well either on the other side. There's an imbalance in that defence. You know, we brought in Rafa Varane. You know, you can clearly see what a huge miss Varane is with his injury.
Not seen him enough, really, have we?
No, but even so, his leadership skills, the fact that he's been so successful, not just internationally, but with Real Madrid, you know, the guy is a winner. You know, he's a clear leader in that defence. You know, the games he did play, or when he has played, he's looked very decent. I just think United are a shambles right now. And here's one point I'd like to make. Cristiano Ronaldo coming to the club, a lot of Manchester United fans were, as you'd expect, delighted to see Ronaldo come back to United. Here's my question to you guys up panel. Do we think that a central defensive midfielder was more important than bringing back Ronaldo to the club? Because I feel that is a huge area that United have failed to address, and it is costing us massively.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about this a number of times. I think there was that romantic feeling and thing around Ronaldo coming back, and when that opportunity arises, you take it. But I think it's not a question of the fact that would Ronaldo have replaced getting a defensive midfielder. I don't think the Glazers had any inkling of actually signing one. I think.
You play Ronaldo because, you know, he's one of the greatest players the game's ever seen. You've got to play him, you know. But with him coming to the club, you look at some of the guys in and around the team. You know, we've not really seen Mason Greenwood find his form in recent weeks. Sancho, until today's game, really hadn't kind of kicked on. You know, Mohamed's made an interesting point about Cavani. Cavani's been a big player for United in games. His injuries have really, really cost us, in my opinion, as well. You've got Rashford, obviously, has had injury problems. You know, there's a real lack of cohesion and balance in the team. It's so bad. I mean, you know, we tried to change it today with McTominay and Matic as that defensive two. But it's not working. It's simply not working. And I think most United fans can see that's not worked for ages now. Whether you know, he's played Fred there, he's not great. There's just an absolute mess in there. You know, there was a lot of talk in the summer about going for Camavinga or someone like Declan Rice. I would have loved to have seen someone like Basuma from Brighton in the team. I think he's a very good player. Not saying he would have been the right answer, but it's an option I would have been considering. But, you know, I think everybody got kind of all excited of Ronaldo coming in, and it's a great signing. Of course, he scored some big goals for United this season already. I would say he's single-handedly kept Manchester United to a large extent in the Champions League.
Of the season. Yeah, player of the season.
I mean, between him and David De Gea, you know, United are still in the Champions League. Don't forget the two brilliant saves De Gea made at Old Trafford against Atalanta. But I just look at United and I look at some of these players, and they must be looking at Ronaldo and thinking, Jesus Christ, guys, we need to fucking buck our ideas up because this guy is helping us and we can't get in the game. And Ronaldo on the flip side must be looking at them thinking, come on, guys, where's the cavalry? You know, and, you know, he can't do it every game. You know, I was having a laugh with my dad about this. My dad compares Ronaldo to God because God always finds the answers. But, you know, God, you know, can only do so much. He needs help from other players. You know, guys were talking about Van de Beek today. I wanted to see Van de Beek get some consistent games in the team or appearances in the team. We've not really seen him get a full run of games to justify whether he's good enough or not, because he gets a period of time and then we don't see him for ages. We've seen what Fred's got. We've seen what Pogba's got. Okay, he didn't play today, but we see these guys week in, week out. We need a bit of variety, need a bit of ideas. And there's same guys there that are just not good enough. I mean, Maguire's had an absolutely horrendous season. He really has. And his attitude is embarrassing for a Manchester United captain. You know, United have had some successful captains over the years. Maguire just, you know, he's an embarrassment, quite frankly. And, you know, I'm just talking about the players here. You know, Solskjaer's got a lot of responsibility here because he's not aggressive enough as a manager. He's too nice. He's too nice. Nice guys don't win titles. They don't win big prizes. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson, the greatest manager of Manchester United's history, or one of them, I should say, with of course, Matt Busby.
Nasty bastard.
Exactly. You have to show that little bit of ruthlessness. That's something that Ollie simply doesn't have. He's not ruthless enough.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. Thanks very much, mate. Lots of comments coming in. Thank you for that. I'm sorry that I can't get to all of them today. There's been a plethora, and it's been quite difficult trying to listen to everyone, trying to ask questions, trying to put those up. Absolute nightmare, but thank you all the same. I was interested in one of your points that you made, Grant, actually, about the middle of the park. And funny enough, last season, this is when before we started our good run and continuation into that good run at around Christmas time, our best midfield duo at the time, granted, Pogba's not available, was Matic and Pogba. Now, I know Matic isn't the player he once was, but he's no different to what he was last season, what he was the season before. And he played McTominay and Matic, which we've seen on numerous occasions, does not work. Don't know why he keeps going back to it. Pogba wasn't available, obviously, but why haven't we seen that partnership? Because I think the stat was horrendous. It was something like 100% of the games that we played together, that have played more than 10 times together, are on this list, and they were top. And they won 100% of the games.
I want to make one before you move on about McTominay, because as a fellow Scot, I like McTominay for Scotland on the international stage. I think when he plays under Steve Clarke for Scotland, he's been excellent. What I will say is I don't know where Scott McTominay's best position is for Manchester United. I don't think most fans know where Scott McTominay's best position is for Manchester United. Is he good enough? I think he is if he gets a good opponent, or a good, a teammate alongside him, someone with a bit of experience. But he's got guys in there that he's played alongside with that either aren't playing well enough, or not experienced enough, or are just having an absolute nightmare.
I'll tell you where, just to interrupt quickly. Sorry, I'll tell you where McTominay's best positions are, and that's further forward as an 8-10, which he's obviously not going to play so often, or as a
8. You were right the first time, I think. 8.
No, as an 8 or 10. He used to play as a striker. And you saw against Leeds, he was playing further forward, up with Bruno pretty much, and that's where he got his 2 goals very quickly. He's much better further forward. Or a right centre-back. And I was watching a video about this
He played right centre-back for Scotland.
That's exactly right. And I watched a video about this a few weeks ago. Really interesting video. It was linked to the Athletic, actually. And they were talking about McTominay. And when he sits in the 2, he puts himself into, I can't remember what the terminology is, but this grey area where he puts himself behind players. And
I think I've seen the picture referring to. Was it not by Michael Cox, I think? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not visible to anybody. And that's why that's why it's not necessarily McTominay's fault every time, but it's not necessarily Lindelof, Maguire, whoever's on the left and the right, because they can't find that middle man that is there, which McTominay would be, to utilise and get that ball forward. And I think that's where the problem lies, that they are trying to get the best out of him, and I can see that. And he is a very good squad player, but he's still not got his defensive duties correct, and he's still finding himself in those areas. Anyway, I'm going to move on now. Thank you for that, bro. Martial, then, I'm going to come to you, Marcus. I thought he was pretty good today when he came on. I haven't seen him for a little while. Bit of a forgotten man, really. But just your overall thoughts on him and the discussion we've just had about the midfield, Donny van der Beek, any of those sorts of things, bro.
Yeah, when it comes to Martial and Donny van der Beek, I'm happy. Well, I mean, Pogba didn't play today anyways, but I'm happy that neither of them started the game. Otherwise,
cover shadow. That's it. I will remember that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, when it comes to Martial, I'm happy he didn't start. Otherwise, he would have been scapegoated, because it seems like every time Martial plays and we lose, he somehow is the problem. Like, people take out a magnifying glass and try to find every little mistake he made. He doesn't run a lot. He doesn't do this. And look, I think Martial was effective today. I don't think he was at his best. I wasn't surprised with what he really brought to the table. I think Donny had an excellent game. Like, really, his performance has really been dampened by the rest of the team. Like, Donny deserves so much more. Like, I really, if anything, I wish we won today just because of Donny, right? Like, he was immense today. With regard to the whole thing about our midfield, look, I think McTominay and Fred are suffering from the same problem. I've been saying this for weeks now. I don't get mad when I see McFred start anymore. I just, kind of have a slight chuckle and move on with my day, because they're not defensive midfielders. They're just not defensive midfielders. McTominay is tall. He's very lanky. He's not very agile. He doesn't really work well in tight spaces. He's not press resistant. So there's nothing to suggest that he is a defensive midfielder. His interceptions might be the best in the team because he plays there, but if you compare him with some of the top DMs in the league and around the world, he's just not up there. Fred, yes, he gets a lot of interceptions because he's tenacious and he can move about the pitch, but when you look at the attributes that made us sign him when he was playing at Shakhtar, he's an attacking player, and he did play in a 10 at times for Shakhtar. That might shock a lot of people. So they suffer from the same thing. And you're 100% right. McTominay did play as a striker in the academy. So to me, I see him as a utility player. I see him as a player who can play multiple positions and who comes in when people are injured to do a job. That's what I see McTominay as. And I value him for that because I feel like he is, I don't know if this is a bit disrespectful, but I feel like he's like a modern Darren Fletcher. He's a player who's just kind of there to fill in for everyone else. And that's what I see McTominay as. But I think with Oli, he's trying so hard to find a midfield pivot that can do the roles defensively and juggle the roles going forward. And we just don't have those kinds of players. And instead of changing the system and saying, listen, this is what we're going to do, we're going to work on it week in, week out, regardless of the results, and we're going to gradually improve it over time, he keeps reverting back to it. And that's what I don't like, because there's people whose jobs it is in the Premier League to watch footage, to study patterns of play, to find weaknesses, and come up with ways to play around you. And if you don't change and evolve over time, you will get found out. And that's why I think we've struggled so much this season. Our midfield gets bypassed game in, game out. So that's the real concern more than anything for me. I really couldn't care less about losing games. I just wish Oli and his coaches just came out and said, listen, this is what we're doing now. We're not picking this midfield pivot. We're not doing this. We're trying something else. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, But I think that needs to happen. And will it? I don't know.
Yeah,
but
and also as well, particularly on Fred. Obviously, he didn't play today, but Fred for Brazil is highly rated. They love him over there. When he plays for Brazil, they're constantly man of the match.
I saw him the other day. He was excellent.
There's so many, if you read the Brazilian media and watch over there, Neymar's really hypes him up. They love him over there when he plays in the system that works best for Fred. And you don't need 11 world-class players you don't need a world-class player in every single position. Liverpool, I'm watching Liverpool now prove that. They're Henderson and Milner and Chelsea with half of their team. They're not world-class players, but because they've got a system that suits the players they've got, it works. And we don't seem to have that. We're trying to. It's the square pegs and round holes thing again, isn't it? You're putting players in positions that don't necessarily work, and when it's not working, we're not changing it. And that's why we keep seeing the same at the moment. Anyway, we're seeing the same results over and over because we're not changing anything. Apart from Spurs, obviously we went to a back five, and then City we tried it again. We're not actually changing anything. It's the same. You're asking the players to do the same thing, and that's a big problem.
Can I also just say that the Matic and Pogba midfield, I think the last time we actually saw it was when we lost 6-1 to Spurs, funnily enough. So I think that's why Ollie's just never gone near that midfield two ever again. So
you are right, but I think they didn't show those two for a few weeks, but then after January they did. For a couple of games only, but it hasn't been played for a long time. And I know, as we said, Pogba's out. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, Pogba probably on his way out. Matic certainly past it. We're in a bad position at the moment. We are, and it's such a shame because I keep seeing tweets about the very first game, and it was at that moment I thought this is it for us, and it's just not gone up. It's just gone downhill from there, and. We've got more problems. We've got to replace potentially Pogba, potentially Matic. We need a DM. Who knows who's going to want to leave at the end of the season if this keeps becoming more and more of a shambles. Right, I'm going to wrap up shortly, guys. Listen, I just want to say thank you very much for getting involved. Thanks, guys, for coming on as well. I'm going to ask you one more question each very quickly, fire round. But no, I appreciate everybody's comments. Thanks for getting in. Lots of debates today. Obviously, negativity does drive that sometimes. It's not great to see, but thank you all the same. And thanks for your comments. Really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. So, we've got our game on Tuesday. Next Tuesday, isn't it? Villarreal. I always get those two mixed up. Every single time I get that wrong. It's, Ollie probably will be in charge. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? It's 6-1.5 dozen. Who knows what's going to happen? But you can't, for a game like that, I don't think the Glazers are that stupid to change a manager. We need to win that game. We need to get throughout the group stages at the very least for any sort of saviour of our season. But Connor, do you change things next week? What are you expecting? Are you expecting Ollie to stay? Lots of questions here, but just answer as many as you can. We'll quickly go around to everybody.
Yeah, that it goes back to my opening statement, doesn't it? We should have done this in the international break, and we wouldn't be in this fucking mess, because now it's like Ollie needs to go. Don't get me wrong, he does. But do you do it 3 days before a crucial Champions League game where we have to win? Really? I mean, draw is not awful, but really we have to go there and win. Do you change it then and put Carrick in charge? I mean, it's still the same coaching setup. It's not going to make that much of a difference, is it? So, why didn't we just do this 2 weeks ago? It's so frustrating, because now we're in a right mess. What I want and what I expect, I want him to go, and I want a lot of them to go. And I never thought I'd say that, but I think for the good of the club, he does need to be moved on. And not just him, by the way. There's a few in the backroom staff, and there's plenty in the boardroom that need to be moved on as well. Let's not, keep the fire burning under their feet as well. So there's a few people that need to go. But do you do it? What I want, right? I'll keep this brief. And so what I want is today for it to be sorted, because they should have had a plan. They probably, there should be a plan in place. But what I expect to happen is he'll still be in charge come Tuesday, because they won't have expected us to lose to Watford. Let's be real. They probably haven't planned for this. They've probably gone, right, international break's over. We're going to beat Watford. Ah, shit, we lost. Now we're in trouble. And now we've got to make a decision on what we do. So I think this is probably taken by surprise. And we'll expect to see Ollie on Tuesday. And maybe after that, or maybe after Chelsea, we'll see him moving on. I think even if we win now, I think it's inevitable. It's been inevitable for about 3 weeks, though, hasn't it? But I'm interested to hear Marcus.
And this is why it's such a shambles, isn't it? Because, I mean, we were damned if we did and won, damned if we didn't and lost today. It's still a shit position, Winning against Watford is expected, and it doesn't paint Ollie in any better light. And now he's lost. So now the club look like they've got a massive egg on their face, and do you know what I mean? It's terrible. Terrible. It's not Ollie's fault. Yes, it's his fault from the management perspective. We spoke about this earlier, but this isn't his fault now, and he is being hung out to dry, quite honestly. Thanks, Connor, for coming on today, bro. I really appreciate you coming on. He was busy today. He came back early, and as an absolute soldier that he is every week, he was here with me to share the negativity and help me out.
Can I just say as well, my last little statement before you move on to Jeff? Grant made me laugh on this show today. Me and Marcus tweeted me earlier saying I need some positivity. I didn't think I was going to smile through this whole show, and Grant's little analogies made me smile, so I'm glad I came on.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Jeff, same question to you, buddy.
Okay, what I want is for them to walk. Like, save their pride and ego and just walk away. They should have done that in the Liverpool game, after the Liverpool game. But, we're here. So, yeah, same expectation. I expect him to still be there. And if we lose, then I guess something will happen by then, because that's like Champions League money right there that the Glazers will not feel. And that's really the problem. It starts up top. When your leadership is shit like that, it trickles down, even to the pitch. That's basic organizational stuff. So, yeah, I want them to walk, like him, Phelan, Carrick. Even the new set-piece coach, like, unbelievable. We have a new set-piece coach, but we don't have a set-piece goal. Like, is that value for money? So, yeah, I want them to walk, but I expect them to still be there come Tuesday. And if we win, I guess they'll still be there during the Chelsea game. So
I am not looking forward to that Chelsea game. And I was talking to someone earlier, actually. He's a Chelsea fan. And he was like, you know what? I come back from the international break. United are in a shit show. I thought Watford would save his job, so he's still going to be there for Chelsea, but now he might be gone for the Chelsea game, and now I'm a bit worried. Says it all, really. Grant, fantastic today, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. Really, really great words, and really appreciate it. So thank you very much. But yeah, same question for you, bro. Yeah.
Well, I don't really know what I want, because, whatever we change, we're light years behind Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester City. Simple as that. We are basically now throwing our eggs in one basket for the top four or the FA Cup. That's basically where we're at. What I'd like to see is I agree with Jeff. I want Ollie to just come out and say, I can't do this anymore, and walk away. He will save his reputation by doing so. He will save face by doing so. He probably should have done so during the international break. I was amazed he didn't during the international break. He had his chance. And for me, he didn't do that. What I think will happen is he'll be in charge for the Villarreal game. If we lose the Villarreal game, the Glazers, I think, will step in. And I think it will be game, set, and match for Solskjaer. That's the only reason for me that he's still in a job, because the Champions League is everything to Manchester United Football Club. That is it. All the Glazers are interested in is getting through in the Champions League. Now, this has been, let's say, I think it's been an okay group for United on paper. Villarreal are an okay side, but there was a bit of an opportunity to get the revenge off the Europa League loss in the final. Atalanta are a good side in Serie A, but again, they were there to be got at. And United have amazingly got 4 points off them in this group. I've been amazed that they managed to get 4 points off them. They should have got none. I really don't know what happens. I am going to be hiding behind the sofa for that Chelsea game because I have the fear. That Chelsea team won at Leicester today without Romelu Lukaku and Timo Werner. They rumped it. Leicester were awful, but Chelsea won it in second gear. I really, really worry for us. And not just that game. We've got Arsenal after that. And Arsenal lost their first 3 games of the season, and they're still above us. It's crazy where times have changed. And then you got Palace after that, under Vieira, who are beginning to find some feet. So we are in huge, huge trouble. I don't know what happens from here, but I think it would be better for all parties if Solskjaer goes immediately, but I don't think it'll happen.
No, I think you're right. I mean, who knows? But I think with the Glazers, until it's mathematically impossible for top 4, I've got a feeling that he could still be. I don't know. It's very difficult, isn't it? He should go. Will he go? I have no idea. But like you, I'm probably going to be hiding behind the sofa too. Sorry, I've just bought GTA Remastered, and I've got a lot of nostalgia playing that, and I think I'm gonna probably play a lot of that on that game. But anyway, we'll see. Marcus, same for you, bro.
Yeah, I've got 3 things. I'll try keep it short and sweet and to the point because we're approaching an hour now. But firstly, on the whole thing of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer walking, this might surprise a lot of people, but I actually don't agree that he should walk. I respect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for staying in the job and trying to fix the mess that he has created, because I think that shows a lot of integrity. I think that shows a lot of balls. And I wouldn't leave either. I would try my best to fix the club that I love until somebody sacked me. So I don't think anybody should be holding resentment towards Ollie for not quitting. And the second problem is obviously it's money, right? Like, he's got a family to feed. He's not just going to walk away from his job. Come on, let's be adults. The second thing is the Glazers. They need to sack him. I can't keep living in this world of, oh, we need to win this game. Oh, we need to win that game. Oh, is it the right time? Look, sometimes in life, you don't get the right time. Sometimes in life, there is no perfect time. Sometimes in life, there is no such thing as a suitable replacement. Sometimes it has to get messy. Sometimes you have to just take a leap of faith. And for me, just pull the trigger, man. Pull the trigger, get someone in. If we lose the game, it's not the end of the world. We can always rebuild. We can always focus on next season, but just end it. We cannot prolong this any further. And the third point I want to make is to Grant's point about Chelsea beating Leicester City without Romelu Lukaku. This is another thing. People keep talking about, oh, what if we got a DM in the summer? Pep Guardiola won a league without a striker. Thomas Tuchel won the Champions League within 6 months. No signings. You can talk all you want about how it's a super squad that he inherited in Chelsea. Cool. Why can't Oli win the Champions League then? Because he's also got a super squad. Why can't Pochettino just win the Champions League then? I thought it was easy. I thought if he inherited a super squad, it was easy. So for me, yes, I don't hold Oli to the same standard as Thomas Tuchel. Obviously, I'm not that brain dead. But the point I'm trying to make is you don't get what you want in life. Sometimes you don't get your priority signings. Unlucky, bro. Like, you got to do the best with what you have. And you have to show the board that, listen, this is what I've done up until this point, but I can't go any further if you don't give me A, B, and C. And I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done that. And on top of that, I don't think the board are intelligent enough to make an informed decision anyway. So it's tough. It's tough, but what I would say is, for me, I'm at peace. I've written the season off. I'm not going to get mad if we get knocked out of the Champions League. I'm not going to get mad if we don't win any trophies. I've written it off in my head. I've already prepared for a long goodbye, because that's what I think is going to be under the Glazers. I'm going to try my best to be as constructive, as sensible, and as positive as possible. But, you can only be so positive. At some point, you've got to wake up and smell the coffee and just realize that we're in a bad situation, But that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, spot on, mate. And you know what? I've got a lot of respect for you, Marcus, because I've we've spoken for a little while now, and I know you have with Connor too, more so, and I know that you're very much have seen the light with Ollie for a long time, and but the fact that you can be so measured and speak about it like that is excellent. So thanks very much, mate. Listen,
Sure.
thanks for all the comments today. Great to have as many of you in as we've had. Come back next time. We've got some more coming in next week. We've got your show on Monday, and we got all for you, Uncut on Sunday. We've got Timeline Talk next week, and many, many others. For those of you new faces today, come back. It's always great stuff. Always great people on as well. But listen, really appreciate it today. Sorry it's a shit one again, but maybe on Tuesday I'll be an happy man. But we'll see. See you next time.